Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Tim here with the TMA Connection, the local podcast that keeps you informed of things that are going on in the community and the people that are making a difference in the lives of others. It came out pretty smooth.
I like it.
Today we got a really awesome guest. There's a lot going on in the world right now with technology, and we're going to cover a little bit of everything. Not everything, but there is quite a bit to worry about out there with fraud and all kinds of other things technology-wise. And who better to bring into the studio today than Mr. Charles Hammett with Hammett Technologies, awesome local business, and been a friend for quite some time now. And we're going to have a good discussion today. So if you find value in this one, I usually ask this at the end, but if you find value in this one today, please share it out. It's super important to protect yourself, protect your family, your parents, and protect your kids as well. So, Charles Hammett, welcome to the show, brother.
Appreciate it. Before I jump in, I want to say I appreciate you guys' journey.
Yeah.
I've been watching you guys for a very long time. I love the whole family's involved.
Yeah.
It's been cool to see you guys grow. It's just been amazing. So I appreciate your friendship, but I more importantly love watching what you guys do.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that.
So I appreciate that, man. So just a little bit about myself. Hammett Tech, we started in 2002. We are mainly a business-to-business IT company, and we focus on running the entire IT program for our clients. So we are the phones, the TVs, the cameras, the computers, the network, security, compliance. We do it all.
Yeah.
We give you one number to call. You don't have any finger pointing. We have a great team that responds quickly. We have great clients, and we love what we do. But that's where we kind of basically come from, and we've noticed what we're going to talk about today is some of the things I review all the time when we get the reports from the government that we look at for our clients.
Okay.
I've just seen a lot of staggering things, and I thought it was a really good idea to bring this stuff to communities.
Yeah, 100%. And so, let's jump into it today. We kind of are breaking this down into three different sections, kind of how can we protect ourselves and our family. There's a lot of fraud going on with our elder population that we're going to talk about, as well as protecting our kids online as well. Right. So let's jump into it. You were mentioning this report that comes out. Tell us a little bit about that.
So the FBI, over the course of multiple years, has put together an it's called the IC3 report. It's really the Internet Crimes Report. Mm-hmm. And the data has been gathered over the course of the year as people report fraudulent crimes, phishing scams, ransomware, etc. Mm-hmm. And I've been reviewing this report every year, and every year the numbers are just they're ballooning, they're skyrocketing. Just to give you an example, just from a loss from like victims in just 2018, it was a little over $1 billion, which is a big industry. If you're a business and you own $1 billion industry, that's big money.
Yeah, sure.
Well, take 2018 and you forward it now to 2022, and we're at $3.5 billion of loss.
Wow.
If through pandemic, through everything else that happened, everybody else's businesses were fighting to get by, but cyber criminals have been making money. They've been tripling their revenue.
Yeah.
So that alone kind of gives you the insight that even the FBI putting this report out realizes that this isn't going away. It's a profitable business. It's an easy business to get away with the fraud.
Yeah.
So why stop it? And that's really kind of every year when I look at this report, the numbers of just your grandparents and how many of them are getting hit by just fraud, tech support scams, all of those things. Yeah. They have no way to recoup that money. They're living on fixed income.
On fixed incomes, and what these people are putting out there looks legitimate.
It is.
It looks legitimate. But when you pry on somebody that has that fixed income, that is, has an opportunity, with air quotes for people that are listening on the podcast,
right?
They do have that fixed income, and so they are motivated to take that chance or whatever. So
and I can't tell you on my hands and my toes and everything how many times people have called me saying, I got this weird pop-up, I called the tech support people, I paid them $350, and then all of a sudden they can't get in their computer anymore. It happens constantly. And honestly, if you're the person that's the tech savvy one in your family, mm-hmm. I hate to say it, but you got to take the responsibility to help educate everybody.
Sure.
Don't ignore them. Don't try to avoid them, because your grandmother or grandfather could get hit for their life savings, And then what can you can't, it just would have taken you 5 minutes of talking to them and saying, hey, look out for this thing's happened. Hey, grandma, how you been? By the way, there's weird things going on in the world.
Yep.
They haven't grown up with the tech like our kids have or we have. So it's new to them a lot of times, and they don't know what to do when they get hit with those things. A lot of the tech support scams is what's killing them the most. I mean, just from the numbers standpoint, I think that investment was number one at almost $1 billion a year taken from our elderly. You're looking at tech support scams taking over $500 million, a little over $500 million a year from our elderly. And then bad email compromises are pulling another $1.5 million away from our elderly. And they can't just go to work and recoup that money. They've lost it. So now it takes you and your family to help support them through that process. So
what does it take for a person to get compromised? Can they get compromised without giving any information?
Yes.
Okay.
And the reason is that it won't be your fault. It's because we all have Amazon accounts. We all have Netflix accounts. We all have Facebook accounts now. I mean, Grammy's on Facebook posting and hearting us all the time.
Yep.
Unfortunately, those companies are not good stewards with your data, and they've lost it over the years. And then now that data is floating around out there. So if your grandmother has a hard time remembering her password and uses the same password and the same username everywhere and the same email address, well, there's a really good chance that's how they're getting in. It's not because of something that she did specifically. A lot of times the stuff that's happening today is because we were too trustworthy at the beginning, and there was no rule or regulation in place to say, here's what you should do with our data. You have to be a good steward with it, and if you aren't, there needs to be a ramification for that. That's not really happening even today. They're just starting to catch up with that stuff. So that's why you still get letters in the mail, here's your credit monitoring. Here's free credit monitoring, because no one gets in trouble for losing it. They get slapped on the hand, and then all I have to do is pay for these fines. And insurance is covering a good chunk of it. That's why the insurance companies are starting to lock everything down on us too. So it's a weird. It's hard to explain to someone. Like you really just got to take the time to we educate constantly on our social medias. Okay. Not only business wise, but for personal wise. Like keep your kids safe. Even when we do presentations, I make it a point at every presentation to have a section at the end on how to protect your children and your family, because we're always so worried about how we make money that we always forget about the things that don't make us money too, and that's also protecting your family and your children and educating people on those things too.
Sure. So what are some of the red flags that pop up that, if I could coach my parents or my father-in-law, what are some things? How am I trying to word this? What are the red flags that pop up that are pretty current right now, knowing that things change and new scams come up all the time?
The ones that continually come up are they fall for scams for like charities, events, like the Ukraine war. There was a lot of scams that popped up for that. Your parents also a lot of times donate to a lot of churches and funds, so make sure they're going to the right place. They aren't just getting a random email from a church saying, hey, your donation was missed, and they start paying that. That's a bad email scam that would get hit that way.
Yeah.
I would tell them to always second guess and question everything. Any email that they get from a family member requesting something, they should call them. Don't ever just take that at face value. Make sure you're double checking that. You should definitely go into all of your parents and grandparents and lock their credit. Cost you nothing. You log into the 3 websites, which we have a guide on our website on how to do that, because we instruct our clients to do it all the time. If you're not actively using your credit, there's really no reason to leave it open.
Okay.
And doing so just allows anybody to start going in there and make modifications and start trying to do things. It actually happened to me. Someone started changing my address to New York and trying to get into it, and I had to lock everything down and dispute it all one time. Yeah. So now I have a habit where if I'm going to buy something, I go and I unlock it. It takes you 5 minutes of your day, and then when you go buy something and you're done with the credit report, you then lock it back down again, and nobody can make any changes or pull anything on you.
And so you go to each credit?
Yeah, so we have in there the list. It's TransUnion, Equifax, and whatever the other one is. And then it's free. They'll all try to sell you monitoring. Ignore all that. Okay. You literally just go in there and say, lock my credit. Yeah. And then at that point in time, nobody can grab anything. And I would tell you to do that for everybody, even your kids. Sure. Once they become to the point where you can do that. There's no reason to leave your credit open today, especially with everything that's been breached already, your information's out there. It's really your responsibility to lock yourself down now at this point. You know about it. Don't ignore it.
So in a real estate space, we're looking to increase our credit scores and stuff like that. Does progress or not progress, adjustment of credit score, does that get affected when it's locked down?
It doesn't do anything to it.
Okay.
They can still pull a score. It's just the credit bureau knows it's locked, and they're not supposed to let anything happen, and that will tell their credit agency it's locked. It's trying to pull your score. It's not a monitoring service in any way, shape, or form. It's literally just a way to just say there's nothing you can do unless I let you.
Okay.
That's really what it is. And it's, again, I've been doing the same presentation for many, many, many years, and there's still people that don't do it. And we even hand the guide out at the presentation on how to do it. It's 5 minutes of your day, and it will save you so much if you don't do it. And someone gets in and destroys your credit. It's years to try to fight for that and get it back.
Sure.
So
sure. What are some other things that I need to think about as an individual for either myself or my folks, my parents, my family?
Yeah, so we're still sticking to the adult side of things. I would definitely make sure that anything that they like, if they have a phone and they have applications or things online, make sure they understand the importance of the passwords, not sharing that password, keeping it separate. If they have any financial pages that they're using, they get under their mortgage accounts, make sure they're turning multi-factor on so they get the text message to log in.
Okay.
Because then your password doesn't matter anymore. You got to have the device to get in. So
Gotcha.
I stress that to everybody. Anything that's important to you, that's financial, personal, etc., if it has that option, because a lot of them don't force you to turn it on, just turn it on and deal with the text message.
Gotcha.
It's going to save you a lot of headaches.
Okay.
And again, it's mainly when you hear about things, make sure you tell your parents and your grandparents, because they're not on the same channels that you're in. They don't get the same information you get. They're not on social media as much as you are per se. I'm always telling people this new scam's out. Like when the Ukraine thing happened, we published on our Facebook right away. There's a bunch of scams about that.
Sure.
When the hurricanes hit,
any kind of disaster,
right.
Anything.
You just got to keep on them, because you remember they're a little older. Just like when we get older, we become forgetful. They'll forget things. And you continue to repetitively tell them to make sure they're looking out for these things. It'll be top of mind to them.
Right.
And then really it's just making sure they understand that they are connected to the world. What they're sending out there, I don't think they understand is permanent. It doesn't go away. That's not there forever. But that's most of it. For the elders, you want to make sure they understand anything financial, anything that's asking you to transfer money. If you get a phone call and they're pretending to be the grandkid asking for money to bail them out of, question everything.
Yeah.
If they're telling you not to call mom because she'll be mad at me, call mom, because it's probably going to save you a couple $1,000s. Stress that to them. And it's open communication in a family is important. So you should already be getting in front of your grandparents and saying, if my daughter calls and says this, know that that's not right. You need to call me. Like, get ahead of it.
Sure.
Opening and talking about that stuff makes it easier. You don't have to question or guess at that point.
Another one that I've been getting quite frequently too is text messages. And so USPS tried to deliver a package.
Yeah.
It was undeliverable. Click on this link to track where to find it or whatever.
And DocuSigns right now are coming across.
Really?
We're getting bombarded with those, and we've been doing a lot in the corporate space to try to block them from coming through. Your private and personal emails don't have any of the protection the corporate world does, so a lot of them will still hit your mailbox.
What will actually happen if and I don't do it, but what happens if you do click the link?
I mean, each one's a different payload, so I'd have to look at the specific one. But most of them, the PDF has a link that's trying to take you to a bad website to deploy something or infect your machine.
Okay.
So normally what happens is you'll click it thinking you have to do an DocuSign and open up. It doesn't look right. Then you're like, oh, this doesn't look right, because that's what we do.
Yeah.
You click that to think what that is. It opens up. There's a link that says click here to read it, and then you click that and you get deployed a payload because, one, it isn't familiar. You're not really questioning it. You're just kind of going through the process and following like you always do. We mindlessly click next.
Yeah.
And that's what ends up happening. You end up getting a payload. Another one that hits the elderly a lot is like you go to a website and it takes you to a fake site and starts making all these noises and popping up with a phone number to call. All they have to do is reboot their computer and it goes away.
Okay.
We get calls about them all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a bad website and it does a takeover of your screen. That's it. And then once you just power the computer off, power back up,
they're disconnected.
If you call the number, they're going to hit you for like $300 to $500, and then they're not going to fix your computer. They're just going to take your money.
Wow.
Yeah, it's quite scary.
So how do you tell? Okay, so I've certainly seen support things come up on my computer, stuff like that. How do you tell between what's true and what's false?
That's a great question. We get a lot of phone calls with people asking us all the time, and we tell them to call us. I'd rather you call me than you get hit with something.
Yeah.
Most of the time, if it's an ad, it's trying to sell you something or scare you. It's like shockware. Just question it.
Yeah. We found 4,713 viruses on your computer.
It's pretty much fake.
Okay.
And what that is when you're going to these websites and they're saying that they require your cookies or whatever now, and when you click that, it's also putting a little, it's opening them to allow you to pump little ads to you.
Gotcha.
And there's a way to turn them off. You got to go in settings and turn them off. But it happens to a lot of people because some sites you have to hit OK. And then when they go to a malicious site, they're just so used to hitting OK that they set themselves up for that failure when it happens.
Nabbit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are we seeing with, let's jump to our kids.
Our kids.
Kids, social media, kids, just regular technology.
Yeah.
What's targeting our kids, and how can we help our kids prevent from getting bamboozled?
So what I see the most is that, as parents, we were kind of, I'm in the age group where we just started getting technology. So I've grown up with it, and I've adapted to it, and I've been able to keep ahead of it with my kids. But not everybody was in that realm. So a lot of the issues you have today is that the parents really don't understand the technology as much as the kids do, and it will get them in trouble.
Yeah.
Because literally you're giving them a device that's open to the free world and has things that children shouldn't see on it. And unless you as a parent stop that, it only takes one friend in school to show it to them, and then they're off on their own little world doing inappropriate stuff or looking at things or trying to get the Anarchy's cookbook to build bombs. Like, it's all out there.
Sure.
So I always say, like, the most important thing is, first off, start talking to your kids early and make sure they understand that the internet's dangerous. Just like we talked to them about drugs and alcohol and everything else. Explain to them that the things that are out there are bad people out there too. There are bad sites. It's a responsibility thing. It's being mature enough to use the platform and use it appropriately. And they need to understand that if you catch them using it inappropriate, there are consequences to that. And one of the tools that we use on a lot of them is we use a screenshot and a logging tool on like their iPads and their phones and everything. There's no way for them to get around it. Takes a screenshot of their computer every 5 minutes, and the parents can go in and just look at any point in time everything they're doing.
Oh, wow.
That even if you don't know anything about tech, that alone as a parent will give you so much insight on what's happening within your child's world, because you'll see their texts, like their messages. If they're using messaging systems, you'll see what they're going to website wise. You'll learn their interests. When my son was growing up, we monitored everything, and I usually knew what the entire neighborhood was doing, but we never stopped them. We still let them be kids, but you know that they're not out doing inappropriate stuff. You know that the most they're doing is trying to plant a bonfire to try to steal someone's beer. Woohoo.
Right.
I'm okay with that. That's the worst thing the boy's doing.
Yeah, right.
So that's the important part, is making sure you monitor things and then put the tools, pay for the tools, put them in place. Because your kids got one chance, and if they see the wrong things, they can go down a really bad path within the internet. And it's not fun. And I always tell everybody that it's important to make sure you respect the ratings of everything. If they say that this website's not appropriate for children, they're not just saying that. Like, don't think your kid's old enough, mature enough to go to it. Let his mind still be young. Let their mind still be young. Keep them away from that stuff.
Right.
They'll learn that in the next couple of years. There's no reason to rush it, right? That's kind of what I say. So if they have a rating system for video games, for content, for websites, for anything, it's there for a reason.
Okay.
I know people feel like they don't have to follow those things, but it's a good suggestion to go with. And like I said, you got to set those rules early. If you find them doing inappropriate things, you pull their devices from them. You make them understand that that's not how it's supposed to be used. It's not used for that.
Yeah.
That's a lot of the big ones. It's hard for people that aren't into tech to sit down with their kids and engage with them and learn together.
Right.
It might not be a bad call for you to start learning how to do that stuff. Like,
sure.
Me and my son used to play video games and stuff together. That was like a bonding moment for us. But that's one thing I would definitely do, is if you don't know the stuff, have them teach it to you. It'll give you a bonding moment with your child and learn that stuff. And I will tell you, like, the most important thing I would do is take a step back and explain to them that when they do certain things on the internet, it's permanent. And I'm really focusing on like inappropriate picture sending, sexting, things along that line.
Sure.
Because kids are naive, their friends are doing it, they'll want to do it too. When they go out to get that job in the future and that stuff's still floating around, it could ruin their lives a little bit.
Sure.
There's whole companies that are being built right now to hide your old personas online.
Oh, wow.
It's a whole business because, the ramifications when this stuff came out, no one thought about.
Right.
So it's important. Again, it's all just a talking thing. Explain to them what happens when they send a picture over to somebody. They've lost that picture. It's out there, and that person can do whatever they want with it at that point in time. Explain to them anything they post up there, mean comments, ignorant things that you shouldn't really say. That's permanent. It isn't ever going away.
Yeah.
And that can be used later in negative ways towards you from a perception standpoint.
Right. And one question that pops in my mind, but it's actually going to be answered by this, is what's a trusted resource that parents can look to educate themselves, especially, hey, look, I'll admit it, I'm not that great with technology, but we are actually going to be taking a lot of this information that we're talking about, plus a whole lot of other things, and we're going to be cross-promoting this on the marklandadvantage.com website, on Hammett Technologies website, just so people have a better understanding. It's really laid out, simplified, to help you understand how to protect.
Right. I mean, I have step-by-step guides we're going to give to both places. So really, if you have no idea where to even start there. Yeah. It'll go through there. And then we are a lot of the guides, a lot of the things that we'll be posting up also, you can get on a website called imcybersafe.org/parents. Okay. It's a great resource, and they spend a lot of time really trying to help educate parents on the technology, like what should you do with social media and your kids? How do you respect game ratings? Like things like that too. Okay. And it's a resource that's really been built around this because there's not a lot of resources out for it. Yeah. But yeah, I would say when we get that list out, and if you guys have ever any questions, our social media is open. Drop messages on there. Our team responds relatively quickly to all those, and if we can help, we will.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Couple more questions for you. Sure. And I want to ask you a more relevant question about Facebook, because I see it all the time. People putting up a status saying, I've been hacked. Yeah. Don't accept any new friend requests from me. What is actually going on there, and what are we in danger with those things?
You haven't been hacked. Okay. That's the thing. Your account has not been compromised. Most of the time, it's somebody making a duplicate account. And their purpose of doing that is just to friend people that may know you. So like it happens to me a lot. I know it's happened to you because I've gotten one from you before.
Oh, that's good. I didn't know that.
I report them right away. They usually get shut down within a couple hours. If people know and you report, they're pretty good at shutting them down. Okay, good. But what they're doing is they're going for people that have large followings or communication bases, and then they try to mimic you. And then they try to friend request people. And when they become friends, then they will message them. But because they're duplicating you don't know what account you're talking to, and then they'll try to exploit you in some way. Right. That's what happens, I would say 80% of the time. Rarely someone actually gets your password and stuff off the dark web and has gotten into your Facebook. Okay. That does happen. It happens, but it's rare. It happened to a friend of mine, and we were talking about finances, and then I realized after one thing he said, it wasn't him anymore. Yeah. Because it wasn't something he would say, and I was like, wait a minute. So I called the guy, and he's like, yeah, I think I'm hacked, and then we figured out he got his password and got in. That happens 10% of the time. Okay. Most of the time, it's just somebody duplicating your account, and everybody always says the same thing, I've been hacked. You haven't. You really are just getting duplicated, and someone's trying to phish you is what's happening. So
and so if that happens and I find that out, what can I do?
Everybody, I think we've all been trained now. When it first started happening, it would float around for a little while. But even like me, if I see someone that I know what your profile picture is supposed to be, we communicate a lot, and I see it, I instantly report it, and you're gone within a few seconds.
Well, especially when you get a friend request from me, and you know that we've been friends for 4, 5, 6 years.
What I do to make Tim just unfriend me all of a sudden? That's what I do wrong, right? So no, that's I think the thing, and that's a part of the education process. We've had it happening so long that I don't think anybody really cares about it anymore. We just know it happens, but if you see them, you just go in there, report it, and when you report it, it says fake account, and then if 3 or 4 of us report it, it's kicked off like that. Wow. So they've gotten pretty good at cleaning those up.
Interesting. Okay, cool. A lot of people have been talking about AI artificial intelligence. What's the good? What's the bad? What's the ugly? What do we not know about yet?
So this could be a whole episode.
All right. Well, we're gonna break it down into.
I'm gonna break it down into just a few. Okay. So AI is going to be revolutionary. It is currently already cutting a significant amount of my writer's times down, my contract rewrites. I'm using it for a lot of that stuff already. The graphic creation that's happening for content creators is amazing because you can just tell it what you want it to pop out, and it's doing it now. You don't have to pay a graphic artist to put in his 2 cents anymore. The fact that it can automate a significant part of the everyday operational tasks that you do is going to be revolutionary and change things.
Mm-hmm.
It's also a little scary because it's going to start to eliminate jobs that we have that are tedious jobs.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be but the world's always changed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when farmers got farming equipment, they changed. Like, it's not going to.
You're going to have to adapt.
Right.
Yeah.
So I will tell you that in a very high level, AI is going to almost, in my mind, be as revolutionary as the computer showing up. Because I think we're going to start really being able to use a lot of potential, and we're going to actually be able to use the computer to help us become more productive, which is a little scary because we're very productive already. So, So that's basically it. Some of the art that's coming out of it is phenomenal.
Sure.
I'm on like 5 or 6 Facebook groups where I get art that's been generated by AI every day, and it blows my mind when I look at it because it's stuff that like I wouldn't even think of drawing or creating. So it's definitely something to watch. I would invest in AI companies right now if you are. I'm not an investment like that. Don't take that as financial advice, but
right.
I've been buying stuff in different AI companies, and buying in chipsets. Like I bought lots of NVIDIA months ago and everything else. When you know you need that much processing power to compute, you start putting your money in those places. So
there's just so much to learn.
It's still so new,
and it's evolving.
To be completely upfront with you, even computers are still new.
Yeah.
That's the scariest part. Like, we haven't fully evolved to where it's going to get. And could you think that we'd be walking around with little foldable computers in our pocket and doing everything on them 5 years ago? Think about where we're going to be in 5 more years.
And a processor that can put out more than what the first space shuttle had.
And you got Elon throwing chips in your head to control things now. So pretty soon we're just going to be thinking of it. We'll have a watch on our arm or something, and that's going to be everything. We'll just be seeing it in our lens. I look forward to it. I think it's going to be cool. I'm a tech guy, though. People that don't like tech are going to hate it, but I'll embrace the heck out of it.
But we'll have to adapt.
We will.
We'll have to adapt. And it's just amazing to think that in 5 years from today, technology is just going to be so much grander than we have. We won't even know what to expect until
there's things that haven't even been invented yet.
Yeah.
And that's the crazy part. Like, we don't know what's coming up.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm excited for the hydro car coming up. That's going to be something cool. I'm still waiting for that to be a big thing.
Okay.
So
just fill up the tank with water and
I can go into a whole theory about this. But yes, you can actually pull the water out of the air. So
we're going to have you back for another episode. I mean, it's
been a while since the home automation one. It's
been yeah. Gosh, that was probably about 5 years ago, and look how we've evolved, right?
We got a full table now.
Yeah, I'm telling you, here at Cummings and Company, we have nothing but the best. So,
no, I appreciate it. I'll tell you what, I will work on some other topics because we do a lot of B2B, but I think this type of information needs to be shared within people's communities and within their families.
100% agreed. Yep. So if people have more questions, how can people connect with you?
So we're on socials, all the socials. Mm-hmm. We have a very active social team. I would highly recommend everybody follow us because we do a lot of education. We're not selling things on there.
Because you are business to business, and this is more of a personal.
But we share a lot of personal things on there with family and everything because we all have kids. So I feel like it's good to share that. So all the socials are there. If anybody has any questions or like really concerned, they can always just shoot us an email over at info@hammettech.com and one of the team members jump right on it for them.
That's awesome.
And like I said, if you're a business and you have any questions, just give us a call. We'll go out and have coffee, or if you play golf. I love playing some golf. So
still trying to get me out there.
I have been trying. You won't go. I have a simulator in my office now. So when you're ready, come over.
Are you kidding me?
I am not joking. Yeah.
Do you get any work done?
I do. I work a lot.
Okay.
I do work a lot. See, the problem is I don't work like 9 to 5. I'll work like 9 to like 10, play golf till like 1, and then work like 1 to 5, and then eat dinner, and then work like 8 to 10, and then I get up at 4 in the morning sometimes. You see me posting on social. So
Yeah, sounds like a typical real estate day for me.
yeah, it's just a normal day, man.
That's just a normal day. Ladies and gentlemen, please connect with Charles on social media. And again, info at info at hammett-tech.com. And please, if you found value in this, share this out. I think it's so important. And when we like, comment, and share, it does spread like wildfire. Help us get out the good word. Subscribe to us on YouTube at the Markland Advantage, or Facebook and Instagram at the Markland Advantage. And download these podcasts anywhere you download podcasts. Episode 49, we said. This is the 49th episode. Gosh bless.
What number was the home automation one? Do you know?
That was like in the negatives. We didn't even start the official episode 1. You were pre. Yeah, man. Yeah. So, again, thank you so much, Charles, for joining us today. Until next time, folks, live your life to the fullest, and we'll see you soon. Take care.
Have a good day.